ॐ तत्प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तानि सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वदाम्ना अन्यांश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् वंशीविभूषितकरान् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरातरुणबिम्बफलादरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखातरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णाः परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने वेदान्तार्थविभासकाय यतये शान्ताय सन्न्यासिने नानावादिमगेन्द्रशङ्खपवये योगीन्द्रवन्द्याय च मोहध्वान्तदिवाकराय भगवत्पादाभिकां बिभ्रतेः तस्मै भाष्यकृते नमोऽस्तु सततं पूर्णाय बोधात्मने प्रह्लादवरदो देवो यो नृसिंहः परो हरिः नृसिंहोपासकं नित्यं तं नृसिंहगुरुं भजे श्री सच्चिदानन्द शिवाभिनव नृसिंह भारत्यदितान् यतीन्द्रान् विद्यानिधीन् मन्त्रनिधीन् सदा आत्मनिष्ठान् भजे मानवशम्भुरूपान् सदात्मध्याननिरतं विषयेभ्यः पराङ्मुखम् नौमि शास्त्रेषु निष्णातं चन्द्रशेखरभारतीं विवेकिनं महाप्रज्ञं धैर्य औदार्यक्षमानिधिं सदा अभिनवपूर्वन्तं विद्यातीर्थगुरुं भजे अज्ञानां जाह्नवीतीर्थं विद्यातीर्थं विवेकिनां सर्वेषां सुपदं तीर्थं भारतीतीर्थमाश्रये विद्याविनयसम्पन्नं वीतरागं विवेकिनं वन्दे वेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञं विभुषेखरभारती। हरिः ओम्। Dear Shankara Rasikas, my namaskaras to all of you. We have got this great fortune of discussing the Charitra of Bhagavad Shankara for the next 7 days to follow. It is only by pure grace and anugraham we are able to sit here. That has to be recognized at the first, because in the Bhagavatam, Bhagavan tells you plan to hear about me, you are able to think about me. All this would become possible only because of my kripa kataksha. Astute madanugrahat iti. Mad anugrahat meaning only because of my anugraha shakti you will be able to listen about me. So having that in mind, we'll have to remember that the moment you wanted to hear about Bhagavad Adi Shankaracharya, it is only because of the pure grace of Bhagavan himself alone. अज्ञानान्तर्गहनपतितान् आत्मविद्योपदेशैः त्रातुं लोकान् भवदवशिका तापपापच्यमानान् मुक्त्वा मौनं वटविटपिनो मूलतो निष्पतन्ति शम्भोर्मूर्तिश्चरति भुवने शङ्कराचार्यरूपा अज्ञानान्तर्गहनपतितान् आत्मविद्योपदेशैः. Bhagavan, who is filled with compassion for the jivas that are suffering in this samsara due to their duradhyaya, as we quote from Bhagavad Gita. That is something very tough to win. That ignorance is the reason for all of this suffering. Bhagavan Dakshinamurti, who is sitting still under the banyan tree. Tratum lokan bhavadavasika tapa papichyavanan muktva maunam Vatavitapino Mulato Nishpatanti. Vatavitapino, who is sitting still under the banyan tree, that is the Vatavriksha, has left his silence and decided to descend to the earth in the form of Bhagavad Shankaracharya to redeem them by imparting Atmavidya Atava self-knowledge. The only scope of attaining self-knowledge is by churning the Vedas. Without the help of the Vedas, self-knowledge cannot be attained. Tamaivaikam jhanate, that which can be known, atmanam anya vachaha, without the help of Vedas, vimunchata mritastaisha setuhu. Without the help of the Vedas, the self cannot be attained or it cannot be known. So it can never be interpreted that I do not want the help of Vedas to attain self-knowledge. This is something wrong. This is something that we have developed maybe from a modern sense of education. But from a traditional sense, the primary source of knowledge are the Vedas only. So if you have to find the root cause of all the misfortunes, is only because of the forgetfulness of one's true nature. And the primary purpose of the Vedas is to turn you towards this self-knowledge. Atmajnana vihina moodaste pachyante naraka nigudha. The ignorant ones, without self-knowledge, go through various forms of narakas. You don't have to think that naraka is a separate place that is kept somewhere. It is all here only. Ihaiva narakaha, ihaiva swargaha api. Okay, there is no other place. So Bhagavan Dakshinamurti, Bhagavan Shiva, who was in the form of Dakshinamurti, his Swarupa was literally Maunam. For the sake of us, he decided to sacrifice the Maunam, take the form of Bhagavad Shankara, and decided to walk the length and breadth of this Bharatavarsha, cleansing and purifying the land, just like Bhagavati Ganga decided to touch the Bhumi. Similarly, Bhagavad Shankara also decided to touch the Bhumi to give all of us our own self-knowledge. Okay. So then Bhagavad is just like Ganga. So he has decided to come and give us the knowledge of the Vedanta, especially the Vedanta Mahavakyas. Sarvam Kalvidam Brahma. This is all only theoretical as of now. All this is indeed Brahman. I've given you a translation also. So what did you get out of this? Literally speaking, we are only trying to interpret it in your own mother tongue. Now, until Shankara interpreting it for us in the form of commentaries, none of these would have made sense. So that is why we used to tell Shankara Sakshat. Shankara is Bhagavan Shankara himself. That is Shankara Bhagavad is Bhagavan Shankara himself. We used to give a very common derivation, Shankaroti iti Shankaraha. So he wants to make the Bhumi Parama Pavitram, that is Mangalam. He is none other than Shankara. from my perspective, the life of Shankara is itself a darshana. Just like Nyaya, Mimamsa, Vyakarana, etc. Similarly, life of Shankara by itself is a darshana. Let us call it Vedanta darshana only. So this is a new perspective to Vedanta darshana. Okay. So looking into the charitram of Mahatman, that by itself is a darshana. Okay. So when Ramayana starts, there is this nice question that is penned down by Valmiki Maharishi. Kuvanvasmin sampratam loke gunavan kascha viryavane dharmajnascha kritagnyascha satyavakyo dridavratah चारित्रेण च को युक्तः सर्वभूतेषु को हितः विद्वान् कः कः समर्थश्च कश्चैक प्रियदर्शनः आत्मवान् को धृतक्रोधो द्युतिमान् को न सूयकः कस्य बिभ्यति देवाश्च जातरोषश्च संयुगे एतदिच्छाम्यहं श्रोतुं परं कौतूहलं हि मे महर्षेस्त्वं समर्थोऽसि ज्ञातुम् एवं विधं नरम्. He listed all the good qualities and finally asked, show me a human being who is well fitted with all these qualities. He did not ask for a devata at all. He did not ask for a devata, avatar purusha at all. Because the moment you put somebody or understand somebody as an avatar purusha, that very same moment will stop following them. Because how can he follow an avatar? He's been portrayed as an, if Bhagavad is only portrayed as an avatar, that very same moment will stop following him. So I would like to look at Bhagavad Acharya from a very practical viewpoint. I don't want to emphasize on his avatartvam, but instead we'll have to follow the main Upadeshas of Shankara, which is his life. The Upadesha of Shankara and Shankara's life are not two different things. They are one and same. Correct. Whoever is familiar with the Charitram will be able to acknowledge this. The Charitram of Shankara and the Upadesam, how can they be two different things? So, Bhagavan appeared in the form of Bhagavad Shankara in order to bless us. And what will be the primordial reason for his avataram? Acharya nicely summarizes it in one part of Bhagavad Gita. Avidya kalpita nama rupa visesha akara apahrita buddhinam atyanta prasiddham suvijneyam asannataram atmabhutam api aprasiddham durvijneyam atiduram anyadiva cha pratibhati avivekinam bahyakara nivritta buddhinam tu labda guru atma prasadanam na ataha param sukam suprasiddham suvijneyam swasannataram asti. One of my favorite passages from the Bhashya. Avidya, I'll break it down. Avidya kalpita nama rupa visesha akara apakrita buddhinam atyanta prasiddham suvijneyam asannataram atmabhutam api. Those whose intelligence is subdued or captivated by the illusory names, avidya kalpita. It is not actually there. It is kalpitam, meaning you have imagined it. You have avidya kalpita names, forms and quality. Avidya kalpita nama rupa visesha. Names, forms and qualities. Nama kalpita nama rupa visesha akara apahrita buddhinam. The buddhi that which is superimposed by ignorance. Buddhinam atyanta prasiddham suvijneyam asannataram atmabhutam api. For them, the Atman, that is the truth, in spite of being ever readily available, atyanta prasiddham suvijneyam, ever known, asannataram, ever known, immediate, atma bhutam api, that which is remaining as one's own self. Atma bhutam api, aprasiddham, just the opposite now. Now, atyanta prasiddham suvigneyam asannataram atma bhutam api, aprasiddham durvigneyam ati duram anyadiva. Just giving you the opposites. The self, which was ever available, which was ever known, which was immediately available, and which was remaining as your own self in the form of I, now it appears to be never available. It now appears to be never knowable. It is very far, and it appears as though it is totally separate from yourself. But for those, now this is the main point. Now this is where we are having the satsanga. So asannataram atmabhutam api aprasiddham durvigneyam atiduram anyadivacha pratibhati avivekinam. For those who did not know. Parantu. But for those who have the blessings of Guru and the grace of Bhagavan or the self, there is nothing more easily knowable, accessible, joyful, or more closely available than this Atman. Vakya akara nivritta buddhinam tu labda. For those who have attained labda, Guru Atma Prasadanam. Guru Prasadam, Atma Prasadam. One who has managed to gain the Guru Prasadam, meaning Guru Kataksham, Guru's Anugraham. Number two, Atma Prasadam. Now, what is this Atma Prasadam? This Atma Prasadam, in my own way of interpreting, I'll tell you, I'm not going by the book or anything. Atma Prasadam meaning you becoming a devotee or you becoming a disciple. That is all that you have to do. A guru is readily available, a guru was readily available, a guru will be readily available. The point here that matters is, are you a disciple? This is the question to be pondered upon. There is no doubt in Guru's presence. Nobody doubted the knowledge of the Guru. The point is, are you a disciple? Now, what do you mean by this question, are you a disciple? Have you opened up to listen to the Guru? If you have not opened up to listen, now any number of upadeshas is going to matter. You are constantly given the upadeshas, but have you opened up? Now, this opening up is a very important term. If you don't want to attain this Atma Jnana, which means you have not opened up at all, which means you are still enjoying samsaram, which means it is still enjoying samsaram. As far as you are enjoying samsaram, any number of people coming and telling you the way to go out of samsara, that will not matter to you at all. So that is the question. When the Guru is blessing you as a seeker or as a disciple, when the Guru is blessing the disciple, that is imparting the knowledge of the Atman, the ardent seeker must be ripe enough or ready enough to receive it and recognize the self. Now, this is what we mean Atma Kripa. Now, this ripening, how will this ripening happen? This ripening has to happen only through bhakti and karma. Without bhakti and karma, this ripening or readiness cannot be attained. So I am just summarizing the introductory part. What has to be attained? Jnanam. What will give you the preparatory steps to attain jnanam? Bhakti and karma. Not in the same order. Popularly, it will be karma and bhakti. You will start as karma, phala sakita karma, then you will start upasana, you will cultivate this love toward Bhagavan, and slowly this bhakti will pop up, will intensify, and that will make you do phala rahita karma. or Ishwararpana karma, or in simple terms, karma yoga. This is going to prepare you. And this is what is going to prepare you for the next 7 days. This Guru Atma Prasadam, as Bharatavarsha has himself rightly written, we are now to receive that Guru Prasadam for the next 7 days. The two, the Adi Guru himself, whom Totakacharya praised as Bhavayeva Bhavan. You are Shiva himself. Padmapadacharya told, Namami Abhogi Parivara Sampadam. These are exact words of Padmapadacharya. My Sashtanga Namaskaras to Shankara, who is adorned with a lot of serpents in his body and is always followed by a group of sannyasis or renunciates. Sureshwaracharya addresses Bhavatpadacharya as Tasmai Shankara Bhanave Tanumano Vagbhir Namasye Sada. My Sashtanga Namaskaras with my body, mind, and words to the glorious son of knowledge called Shankara. Vilasa, again a disciple of Shankara, writes, Yatirupa Dharam Vande Shankaram Loka Shankaram. My Sashtanga Namaskaras to Shiva, who has taken the form of a sannyasi to bless the world. Needless to say, all these words, in fact, in one of his works, Sureshwaracharya also addresses Acharya as Guru Guruhu. A very unique prayoga, this is. Guru Guruhu, meaning the Guru of all Gurus. Meaning he is the Adi Guru of this entire Guru Parampara. So this prayoga is also there, which tells he is Guru Guruhu. Atava in Bhagavatam, Sukacharya is frequently addressed as Yoginam Paramam Guruhu. Likewise here also. So Acharya is going to come down to earth in the form, Paramashiva is going to come down to earth in the form of Shankara Bhavatpadacharya and going to do the anugraham or the blessings to us. I don't mean blessings in the form of magic. That is there. But for us, blessings is equal to Bhashyam. We don't look at the photo of Shankara or Shankara Jayanti. For us, Shankara is equal to Shankara Bhashyas only. We'll have the Prasthanatraya Bhashyas and do Archana only to that because for us, Shankaram Shankaraha ityukte Bhashyameva. For the sake of following the tradition, we do Archana to the photo, we do Archana to this Kalpana Vigraham of Bhavatpadacharya. Since he is omnipresent, he can get our puja in any form. That is different. But when you do Archana to the Bhashyams, you will feel the connect. You will feel the connect. You try this once. You just have this Pratanatraya Bhashyam nicely wrapped up in a velvet cloth. And then do Archana towards it. Dvaita Vidya Rasikaya Namaha. Maybe you start and do. Then you really feel the connect. So this Shankara, before entering into Shankara, it is customary that we also describe how was India back then. Only then you will find the intensity or the requirement of this. For which you have to understand the Vedas. We all belong to a sampradaya. We have all acquainted to the Vedic tradition. That is the Vedika sampradaya. Now, what does the Vedas absolutely give us? The Vedas in many places have got different things to offer to us. People might generally get confused why is it offering a lot of things. It is because there is an Adhikari Veda. When there are too many people coming to the Vedas with different levels of qualifications, naturally it has to offer a lot of things. Why do they serve a lot of food in a treat? When you go for a wedding treat, they'll offer you a variety of foods. Why is it? Because the host doesn't know what you like. So he's offering you everything. It is totally up to you to repeatedly get something that you really like. Not everybody is going to ask for everything. Certain people will repeatedly ask for pachadi. Certain people will repeatedly ask for sweet. Certain people will repeatedly ask for something, XYZ. Why is it? Because he doesn't know what you want. There's something absolute there. But still, there can be temporary wishes here and there, correct? So, what does the Vedas absolutely tell you? Absolutely, in absolute sense, meaning it is something that is applicable to everybody. Lokaha, samastaha, sukhino bhavantu. May everyone in the world be happy. Now, fight will start when you start defining happiness. Otherwise, it's all fine. Now, tell me, what do you mean by happiness? In Ramayana, there is one word called, when Vishwamitra comes to Dasharatha's palace, Vishwamitra is addressed with the following verse: Yata amritasya sampraptihi, yata varishamanudaka, yata sadrisadareshu putrajanma pradasyase. All these words come. Among this, Dasharatha Maharaja uses one word. Your appearance here is as though I have attained my Mahodaya Kala. Mahodaya Kala, how do you define a Mahodaya Kala? For somebody who is in a Daridra Dasha, attaining money is Mahodaya Kalam. For a blind, getting vision is Mahodaya Kalam. For a dumb person, becoming intelligent is Mahodaya Kalam. Now, how do you define Mahodaya Kalam? Absolute scene, from absolute sense, if you have to define Mahodaya Kalam, when you come in front of your Guru, it is Mahodaya Kalam. That is from an absolute sense. So, in absolute sense, it is Lokaha Samastaha Sukhino Bhavantu. This is the foundation of the whole Sanatana Dharma. Okay. So, with respect to this, it has given you several pathways. Starting from Brahmacharya Ashrama, okay, celibacy that we call. Celibacy Brahmacharya, mind control that is Sama, sense control that is Dhamma, withdrawal from all distractions that is Uparati, reverential faith that is Shraddha, then meditation that is Dhyana, then Yoga, Bhakti, Jnanam. All these are different steps in the overall stairs. So you start with right observance of karma, then you offer it to Bhagavan as karma yoga, then also start with upasana or bhakti, then slowly start hearing Vedanta and come to aparoksha jnana. Okay, this was the core ideology of this country. And this country was called Bharatavarsha. How many Bharatas we have? Huh? We had the great Bharata Yogi in Bhagavatam. We have Bharata, who is the brother of Rama. We have Bharata from Shakuntalam. We have numerous Bharatas. Okay. For different reasons, at different parts of time, we have this Bharata. There is some referencing different Bharatas also. I heard one person justifying this statement. And now we have this mythology popping up telling that the Aryans invaded from somewhere in Europe and all that. We don't follow those definitions at all. We don't go by that at all. This is where the rishis existed. This is where the rishis have darshanam of Bhagavan. And this is why you are able to connect with the karma, you are able to connect with bhakti here. Absolutely, the entire Prakriti is Bhagavan's creation. There is no doubt in it. But there was a reason why Bhagavan incarnated in Mathura, why Bhagavan incarnated in Ayodhya. Definitely, that would have a sanidhyam to it. The entire world is covered by Bhagavan. That is why we have this Vamanavataram Katha, where Bhagavan has nicely placed his foot in every part of the world. So Ishvara Sanidhyam is everywhere. But still, supposedly you come to South India, the entire South India is blessed. But I would particularly argue quality is 10% extra. And why? Because this is when Shankara Bhagavad chose to be born. Yeah? So similarly, you have this bhagyam of this Bharatavarsha. So when you go into the Puranas, you see the definitions of how this Bharatavarsham is defined. I'm not going to go deep into it, but I'm just giving you the overall viewpoint. Uttaram tat samudrasya. Likewise, there is a slokam, a very prasiddha slokam that gives you the boundaries of this Bharatavarsham particularly, in which There is only one God. This is not the teachings of the Vedas. In Vedas, there are absolutely many gods. From an Advaitic viewpoint, we tell. But there is Indran, there is Varunan, there is Vayu, there are Ashwini Kumaras. Huh? How many gods you want? How many gods you want? You want 100, I have 100. You have 1,000, I have 1,000. You want 33 crores, I'll give you 33 crores. Because you have this upasana margam, and your ruchi or your abhiruchi is totally different. I cannot compel you to do upasana on Indra alone. I cannot compel you to do upasana on Agni alone. I cannot compel you to do upasana on Bhagavan Vishnu, Rudran alone. So I'll give you a lot of options because you all have different background. This is the diversity. But unity in diversity is this is all going to lead you to Advaita Sampradaya. Ultimately, it is going to lead you here. So keeping that in mind, we'll have to see. Not only the Vedas are surrounded by a number of other things like Siksha, Kalpam, Vyakaranam, Niruktam, Chandas, Jyotisham. Okay, we call this the Veda Angas. So we have a very few Panditas who've been trained in all these Shastras. Only a few in the country. So if at all you get access to any one of them, you can ask them a lot of questions. They'll be able to comprehensively answer your questions. In other way around, we are not able to find such Mahans who are comprehensively answering. There'll be a Vedanti, or there'll be a Vyakarana, there'll be an Ayayika, or they'll be expert in Nirukta. But comprehensive understanding, no? Because in Ramayana, it is highly recommended that Rama underwent the studies of Vedas and also the Vedangas. So it has to be understood that until maybe 300, 400 years ago, we had everybody who underwent the studies of Vedas and the Veda Angas also. Now it is something that is too much actually. When we refer it to somebody, they even tell that it is too much. It is very hard even to study the Vedas. Why talk about the Veda Angas? But a couple of centuries ago, we had Mahatmas, everybody undergoing this. But now we are slowly seeing the, what do you call it, alasyam creeping in. Alasyam is, when you say in Sanskrit, it's fine. When you translate to English, now people get hurt. So better you find it after translating. Okay. So this alasyam, okay. So I don't want to go deep into it. Okay, that is stopping a lot of people. There is no reduction in potency. There is potency, but people just don't want to explore their potency fully. They don't want to try it out. So it is very simply kept. And until Bhagavad-Acharya's period, we had both Vedic religions and also non-Vedic religions. What do you mean by non-Vedic religions? It is as simple. They don't accept Vedas. It is a religion. They don't accept Vedas as Parama Pramana. So all Buddhism, Jainism, they all fall under this category. Okay. So it has to be understood. You have to listen to it. At the same time, we should not develop any sort of dvesha towards them. It has to be very carefully dealt. Now, you should not understand that we are all against Buddhism, we are all against Jainism. We are against the Paksham. We are not against the Pakshi. You may have an idea that Buddhism might have gone wrong somewhere or Jainism might have gone wrong somewhere. But you should not get converted into dvesham towards a person who is in that path. If you do that, your own anubhava sthiti will be lost. It is something that we have to carefully remember in today's case. Because the mind is already wanting to clinch on to something to find dvesham against somebody. So I should not add fuel to fire. You already have got a list of enemies in your mind, maybe. Now I should not add two to that. Telling that all these upasakas, all these sampradayavadins are also enemies, if I now tell you, I'm not doing a good job here. In fact, I'm reducing the potency that you have already got. So that was Bharatavarsha. in which the Veda Margam was thoroughly Karma Kanda Niratha. People were experts in Karma Kanda. Or the first part of the Vedas is called Karma Kanda, which is ritualistic. People were thoroughly ritualistic. They were not bothering about the second part or the last part of the Vedas. That is the Upanishad Bhaga. Even in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan refers to such people, na anyad asti iti vadinaha, kriya vishesha bhagulam bhogeshwarya gatim prati, bhogeshwarya prasaktanam taya apahrita chetasam. All these are Bhagavan emphasizing that focus on the Upanishad Bhaga subject to your capability. Karmakanda is very important. There is no denying that. But you should be knowing to take up karma, executing karma, then after a particular state, dropping karma. If you become fanatic about karma, that is where the problem starts. So, Hinduism was in the form of karmakanda. And we had Bauddhavadis and you have Jainavadis popularly spread across the country who were non-Vedic religions. That is where we still narrow down and come down to Parasurama Kshetra, as it is traditionally called, or in today's terms, Kerala. Okay, this is called Parasurama Kshetra. You have this, you have a reference to Parasurama Kshetra in many Tamil texts. In Tamil texts, it is referred as Malanad. In many poems, you see Kerala getting referred as Malanad. Okay, even now Kerala is lush green, made fertile by the flowing waters of a number of rivers. To name, we have Bharatavarsha, we have Purna or Periyar, we have rivers like Pampa. All these are divine. Even today, you have the thick forests filled with varieties of medicinal trees and herbs, naturally, which is leading to a lot of work in Ayurveda. It is all natural. Even in Sri Rudram, Bhavan is worshipped as Namo Vrikshebhyo Harikeshebhyaha. Vrikshebhyaha Harikeshebhyaha. So Harikesha is the one who has got green hair. If at all you have to visualize green hair Parameshwara, it has to be Kerala. If you are interested in doing such a visualization, no? If you visualize Sri Rudram, Namo Vrikshebhyo Harikeshebhyaha, entire Kerala is Parameshwara's hair, matted lock. Huh? It is Kerala. So that is why he chose to appear here also. Okay. The long ranges of Sakhyadri and the streams that are leisurely winding down through the plains and plateaus and ridges of Kerala, as they call it, God's own country. When somebody calls this God's own country, we used to acknowledge this by telling, yes, Bhagavad Acharya was born here. It is, of course, God's own country. Correct? This should be the reasoning that has to come to mind, because it is only with respect to rivers we have identified Mahapurushas. Tamrabarni Tateyatra Katamala Payaswini. In Bhagavatam, there are refers to all rivers. Similarly, we narrow down our approach to a small river called Purna. And in the banks of river Purna, there is a small village called Kalati. And now we are narrowing down to Kalati. Tato Mahesha Kila Keraleshu Srimad Vrishadrau Karuna Samudraha Purna Nadi Punyatake Swayambulingate. This is how Bhagavad Acharya's Charitram starts in Adi Shankaracharya. Purna Nadi Punyatake Swayambulingate Mananam Gadagha Virasite. There is this small hillock near this Purna Nadi Tatam, where one fine day Parameshwara just like that appeared. Just like that appeared. We call it Swayambhu Murti. Huh? We call it Swayambhu Murti. Meaning he is just like that appeared. So everybody felt very happy. And at that time, in this village called Kalati, there was somebody called Vidyadhiraja. He was a great scholar, a very learned person. Along with all the villagers, everybody went to the small hillock to have darshana of this Parameshwara Swayambhu Murti. Okay, they went there. It was in the banks of river Purna. They went there and had darshana of Parameshwara and they came back. All the villagers did this, started doing it repeatedly. To this Vidyadhiraja was born a son called Shivaguru. The Shivaguru underwent Vedic studies, studied the Vedas, and at the end of the Vedas, and at the end of the Vedic studies, there is something called Samavartana. Okay, the Samavartana happened. Samavartana is concluding your studies. And at that time, what happens is the Guru will decide who will be going for higher studies, who can settle down, who has the ability to become a sannyasi, who can become a teacher and start another patasala. All these things will happen there. And it is at that moment the Guru will also tell a few shishyas that you take up the ashrama of Grihastha and live a life of a family man. Accidentally, Vidyadhiraja and the Guru of Shivaguru, they wanted Shivaguru to marry. And there will always be a plot twist in every story, right? Shivaguru did not want to marry. Where is the Swarasya if Shivaguru immediately wanted to marry? There is no Swarasya in it, right? The story will not be interesting at all. Shivaguru did not want to marry. And what happened is, the father told his guru to advise Shivaguru to marry. Naturally, every father would attempt it. He'll try it for once. If he is not successful, there will always be some expert brainwashing person who will attempt it at the second go. Normally, the guru will be the person. So Shivaguru was called by his guru and advised that Shivaguru, I think somebody has advised you on the wrong way. You please take up the Grihasthashrama and marry. To which Shivaguru did not immediately agree upon. He told, hey Guru, you are advising me this way. I understand. Then to which the Guru told, no. Let me tell you, Grihasthashrama is one of the important ashramas. Even in the Yajurveda Samhita Baha, we have references telling that Prajahadi Manushya Purnaha, Prajayahi, Manushyaha Purnaha. Which means a person will become fulfilled only by progeny. You will have to marry and you will have to have a kid. Okay. So if a son is to be born to you, then you contribute to the Sanatana Sampradaya. You give back somebody so that who continues the Sanatana Sampradaya forward. So it is something that you have to offer to complete the loop. We call this a closed loop circuit. So you were born and you now have to contribute back. Somebody has given you the right to be born, meaning an opportunity to be born. Only by their actions you are now able to sit here, do Vedanta Shravana, do Paropakara, everything. Now what is that you are contributing back? You are only taking back, correct? You have to contribute. So you have to marry. Not only that, ashramanam to sarvesham garhastyam sreshtam ashramam. Bharata advises Rama in Ayodhya Kanda by telling Rama, don't come to Vanaprastha ashrama. You better be in Grihastha ashrama only, because among all the ashramas, Grihastha ashrama is the best. In Shanti Parva, Bhishmacharya advises everybody that among all the ashramas, Grihastha ashrama is the best ashrama. It is very, it is an irony that Bhishma recommending Grihastha ashrama because he was an Aishtika brahmachari. Which means that the Upadesha was not biased at all. So I can show you hundreds of vakyams which will promote Grihastha ashrama. It is even very practical. See, how will the other three ashramas survive without the Grihastha ashrama? A brahmachari is called a bhikshu. He has to live on alms. A sannyasi is also called a bhikshu. He has to live on alms. Where will they go for alms? Will a sannyasi go to another sannyasi to request food? Can one brahmachari come to another brahmachari and request food? If grihastha is not there, who will become a vanaprastha? So sannyasi is depending on a grihastha. Vanaprastha is depending on a grihastha. Brahmachari is depending on a grihastha. So you become a grihastha. I end my argument, my lord. To which Shiva Guru immediately tells, I will ponder over it. I will think upon it. That's all. That is all it is. And he went somewhere, had a small nap. He slept off. And accidentally in his dream, he visualized something spectacular. He had the vision of Maharishi Agastya appearing. And in the dream, Agastya came and advised Shiva Guru to engage in Grihasthashrama. At this moment, I will give you one um, uh, some fact. Primarily, I am following Madhaviya Shankara Vijaya. Okay, there are many Shankara Vijayas. Primarily, I am following Madhaviyam, but beyond Madhaviyam, in many other Shankara Vijayas, there are many beautiful anecdotes or incidents. So I am even considering them, which is not contradicting with Madhaviya Shankara Vijaya. Wherever there is a contradiction, I will go with Madhaviya. Otherwise, anywhere there is a nice story or a nice anecdote that can be considered to what you called to develop our bhakti towards Shankara, I am also considering them. Okay, this is just as a point of fact I wanted to share. Okay, so if you go back and search in Madhaviyam, you might not find a lot of stories that I am referring to. So at that point, you should not get surprised. It is there in some of the Shankara Vijayas. Okay, so this Agastya gives darshana to Shiva Guru and advises him to engage in Grihasthashrama Vritti. That's all. When you get such a command from a very high force, you cannot go against it. So, as Agastya came and advised, there is no go for Shiva Guru. He walked from that Swapnavastha, came away, and immediately came to his Guru and his father and told, I am ready for marriage. They immediately started looking out for a Guru, and they figured out there is somebody called Aryambika who is ready for marriage. Abba, that Mahati called Aryambika, how can I go beyond her by just uttering her name? She was an embodiment of Stri Dharma. The word Dharma Patni, if you want to see an image of the word Dharma Patni, it has to be my mother Aryamba only. Huh? Who can stand to that word as definition? It is Aryamba. So they had decided for a auspicious date. Shiva Guru and Aryamba accepted for the marriage, and the marriage ceremony took place. Shiva Guru was somebody who never wanted to marry. Correct? On the advice of his Guru, he is now accepted for marriage. So naturally, even after marriage, they did not have progeny for many long years. Because anybody who is focused on something will do those things perfect. Doing something perfectly will naturally take a lot of time. Putra prapti is not something that has to be merely undertaken as indriya labha. It is by itself tapas. It is by itself tapas. Just for here, if you are really interested in this, you can go refer the story of Kardama Prajapati and Devahuti in Bhagavatam. Kardama Prajapati wanted to marry. For marriage, he did 1,000 years penance. Before marrying, before wanting to find the right girl to marry, he did penance for 1,000 years. That is tapas. There was somebody called Gopala Shastri who lived in Sringeri. He was a Sringeri localite. We have heard in olden days, few children would be born And because of not having enough infrastructure, certain kids would die immediately even. Some will survive for 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, till 1 year they'll even die. This Gopal Shastri lost 13 consecutive kids. Can you even imagine? One, two, three by itself is very difficult to digest. 13 kids continuously, one after the other. They'll be born, they'll die. They'll be born, they'll die. They did not know what to do. They were Sringeri residents. They immediately went to the then present Acharya, who was the 33rd Acharya, Jagadguru Sachidananda Shivabhinava Narasimha Bharati Mahaswamina. When Acharya told, you do tapas and get a progeny. What has to be done? You walk all the way from Sringeri to Gokarna Kshetra once. Do the upasana of Gokarneshwara there and then come back. They took up this divine yatra, Pada yatra from Sringeri to Gokarna. They walked, they went there, they did upasana, they did panchakshara tapas, everything. And all the way they came back. They delivered a child that was going to be the 34th Pitadipati of this auspicious Sharada Pitam, Jagadguru Chandrasekhara Bharati Mahaswami. And that is the penance that you need to have a child. If that is merely going to be Indriyalapam, that can also be noted. If it was tapas, that will also be noted. It will be visible in front of you. Similarly, Shivaguru wanted to take up tapas. So nothing is just like that in Sanatana. Everything is procedural. Correct? So what he did, there is something called, in local Malayalam, they have this term called Bhajana Irithal. Bhajana irukkaradu. It's a Malayalam word. What does it mean? They'll go to a temple, they'll do tapas inside the temple. It can be in the form of Panchaksharam, it can be in the form of Ashtaksharam, or it can be in the form of Narayaniya Parayanam. Even today we see this. You come to Guruvayur temple, you will see hundreds of people sitting there. They will not talk to one another. They will do Parayanam. It is tapas. In those days, they stayed there inside the temple ahoratra, meaning throughout night also. So when you come to this temple, that is Rishabhachaleshwara temple, that is now called Trishur. The original name of the kshetram is Trishiva Perur, which is now narrowed down to Trishur. Vadakkannadan is the name of the Swami. In Sanskritam, it is Rishabharuda. In Tamil, it is Vidameriya Pemman. Rishabharuda Swami. A Swami, Parameshwara, who sits on a bully. Okay. So they go to this kshetram, which is hardly 50 kilometers away from Kalati. They go there and they do this bhajana irittal inside the temple. Because, as I told you, Shiva Guru wanted to do everything as form of tapas. He did not wanted to do anything at random. Okay. So he went there, he stayed there and did this tapas. Then, Devaha Kripa Paravaso Jijaveshadhari Pratyakshatam Shiva Gurum Gata Aptanidram Provacha Bhoho Kimabhivanchasi Kim Tapaste Putrartite Vachanam Sajagada Vipraha. These are all Shankara Vijaya slokas, Madhaviya Shankara Vijaya slokas. Eva Kripa Paravasho Dvijaveshadhari Devaha Kripa Paravasho Dvijaveshadhari. The Lord Parameshwara appeared in the form of a sage or a rishi, and he questioned the Shivaguru. Hey Vipra, Pratyakshatam Shivagurum Gata Attanidram. He entered into the dreams of Shivaguru and communicated. See, this is a yoga sthiti. This is possible in yoga. If a yogi wanted to communicate to you something, he can enter into your dreams and he can communicate. That is why normally a dream in which Bhagavan appears or in a dream in which Acharya or Guru appears, we don't consider it to be a normal dream. It is not a normal dream. We call it, it is something from an anubhava level. We call it an anubhuti. It is not a normal dream. It is not hallucination. It is not effects of the day. Normally, a dream is any impactful event in the day, it will naturally get extended into the dream also. Throughout the day, you drive from one place to the other. Now, you will dream as though you are driving only. This is something that will naturally happen. But all this anubhavam or protection will not happen in that way. Because when you read a textbook called Yoga, Enlightenment and Perfection, which I have recommended to all the sadhakas, in short, we call it YEP, Yoga, Enlightenment and Perfection, in which we see Jagadguru Abhinavadhyatirtha Mahaswami or the 35th Acharya of the Sringeri Sharada Pitam encountering a series of dreams in which Parameshwara himself directly came and give the Yogopadesha directly, meaning all the asanas. All the asanas that we now have reference in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, Parameshwara directly came and taught Jeshta Mahasanidhana. It was Sharadamba who directly incarnated and taught Jeshta Mahasanidhanam, the Kundalini Yoga. So all these are Anubhava Sthiti or Anubhuti Sthiti. It cannot be just like the classified as some random dream. So from that perspective, it has to be listened. Pratyakshatam Shiva Gurum Gata Attanidram Provacha Boho Im Abhimanchasi Kim Tapaste. Hey Vipra, hey Brahmana. Parameshwara comes and asks him, what do you want? Why are you doing this penance? Normally, all penances, all the penances that are undertaken is not from a sattvic perspective, will not be in sattvic perspective in most of the cases. We have seen, how many of you heard doing penance? Ravana has done penance. Hiranyakashipu had done penance. They all had a rajasic motive. We have Bhasmasura doing penance. We have Bhanasura doing penance. We have hundreds of examples. All those were from a rajasic perspective. So Bhavan was very particular even before blessing him and asking, Kim tapaste? Why are you engaging in tapas? Because I feel on a very lighter vein, Parameshwara has got some bad experiences in granting boons in the past. So now he is very careful now. He is now learned that I should not grant on the go because that is not his problem. He is called Ashutosh. Parameshwara has got a name called Ashutoshi, meaning he is somebody who can be pleased very easily. You keep one Bilva Patra on top of his head, no? You ask anything, he's going to give you. He's just trying to be careful, but I tell you, he cannot be careful because his Surupam is compassion. He cannot adjust his nature. It is his nature to give anything, but still he's just trying to mature, I guess. Again, from a very lighter vein, with all due respect, I'm telling this because it is our own Parameshwara. In a Pranaya Bhava, I talk. Provacha bhoho kima bhivancha sikim tapaste. Why do you do this penance? To which Guru answers, O Lord, please bless me with a son. Putrarthite. To which Parameshwara asks, do you want only son? I mean, only one son who is all knowing, meaning who is a Sarvajna, but will only have a short lifespan? Or do you want many ordinary children with long lifespans? Sarvajnam ekamapi sarvagunopapannam alpayusham athava. This is the first option. Sarvajnam ekamapi sarvagunopapannam. But here is the alpayusham. Athava bhuryayushaha bahur viparitakam ste. Bhuri Ayushaha, meaning do you want other or many other children who will have Bhuri Ayusha, meaning they will live for 100 years, as told in the Vedas. Satamanam bhavati satayush. Bahuni viparitakan, say viparitakan meaning opposite of the option A, which is sarvagunopapannam. Here it is the opposite, meaning he will not have any good virtues. He will be a dull person. Like that, do you want many kids or do you want one brilliant one? Shivaguru, I think this is the first multiple choice question test. MCQ, no? This is the first MCQ Shivaguru has answered. Option A, option B. It now appears to be very simple, no? It is for us, it is very simple because you know the answer. You have to think from a parent's perspective. Normally, how will an emotional parent think? We all know how emotional parents think. They'll tell us, you be an idiot, you be a fool, you be with me. You will come and convince your parents. See, I'm going to a particular place, it's a university, it's far off. I've got this opportunity to go there, I'll have to study. No, 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 no. You don't have to go anywhere. You be an idiot, but be with me. This is a natural tendency of parenthood. It appears to be foolish from the outside, but it is very natural for a mother because they are mostly emotionally driven. Unless you are a rationally driven parent, it will be very difficult for you to choose option B. What is option A? Sarvajnam ekamapi sarvagunopapannam alpayusham. Alpayusha meaning he will be short-lived person. Option B, athava. Option B, bhuryayushaha. Bahun viparitakamse. Many children, they'll all live for 100 years, but there'll be no use of them. Whom do you want? Bhagavan ne? Give me only one son with divine qualities and profound true knowledge alone. Putrostu me bahuguna pratitaanubhavaha sarvajnyaha. Let him be an all-knower. Then Parameshwara immediately told Purno bhavishyasi he dvija griham kacha dharaihi sah. You go home with Aryamba also and expect good news. You can expect good news. Now, let us ponder on this point for a couple of minutes. Why did Shivaguru choose option A? What benefit did Shivaguru have by choosing option A? Because you all know the story. I'm not going to introduce Shankara Vidyan. We know the story. Shivaguru barely lived only 3 years with Shankara. If that is the case, getting an Atmajnani Putra, do you think it is easy? It is something that we normally don't consider at all, but I wanted you to reflect on this question. When you look into the scriptures and understand how will a Sarvajna Putra will live, do you think he'll be a normal kid in the house? He'll not be a normal kid in the house. Evam vrajaswa priyana kirtya jatanuragaha dhrutachitta uchaihi asatyato roditi rauti unmadavan dhrityati lokabhakya. These are all descriptions of a unmatta bhakta or a bhagavata. It will be very tough to digest. You cannot just like that live with a jnani and all. You can live with a person who is in jnana marga. But if you have to live with a jivan mukta, I'll give you a few examples here and there. Now I gave you from Bhagavatam. Evam vrataha swapriyanama kirtya jata anuradaha drute chitta uchaihi hasatyato roditi rauti gayati. Suddenly crying, suddenly jumping, suddenly rolling, suddenly shouting. These are all lakshanas of an unnata sthiti. Normal parents cannot bear all of this. Only Mahatma parents can bear a Mahatma child. If you are getting into this Mahatma line, it will have to be very carefully understood. In Bhagavatam, in another instance, I'll give you, Prahlada's childhood is defined. Kvachit rudhati vai kuntaha chinta chapala chetanaha Kvachit rudati, suddenly crying, suddenly laughing, suddenly shouting Hare Krishna. And he'll cry, he'll weep, he'll fall down, he'll do Anga Prashna, he'll stand up, he'll again cry. You cannot define an activity of an Atmajnani. If you are, just imagine, just put yourself in the shoes of an Atmajnani's parents. Imagine how will Sadashiva Brahmendra's parents would have felt. Imagine how would have Ramana Maharishi's parents would have felt. Imagine how will Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's parents would have felt. You look into all those stories. They're all not normal life. Why should you go all the way there? Just imagine how Mahasanidhanam's mother would have felt. By the age of by the age of 16, 17, he is totally detached from his house. He has left his house, written a letter, gone all the way to Ujjain, surrendered to his guru, gone. He'll not be there with you. What am I trying to tell is, Shiva Guru perfectly knows what he is getting into. Aryamba knows what she is getting into. So this is one point where we mostly bypass this and go ahead. Because they are not ajnanis. They are not people who don't know Shastra. They know the Shastras. They know what they are getting into. They know how this child is going to behave. But still choosing an Atmajnani Sarvajna is not an easy task. You should be ready for sacrifice that very moment you accept a Mahapurusha as your child. Mahapurushas are not going to be born to you and sit inside your kitchen permanently. Because the very moment they have attained that Atmajnana, they have this very big objective of giving it to the world. Because when you attain Atmajnanam or self-knowledge, compassion or karunai is a byproduct, is free. Any Atmajnani will have compassion. They need not have to gain it. They need not have to earn for it. It is so natural. A jnani will be a compassionate person. Any compassionate person will go towards people who are in sorrow. They'll not sit inside their house simply and enjoy life. They'll go watch the world. So Shiva Guru, after knowing all of this, woke up, told all of this to Aryamba, and Aryamba also acknowledged the decisions. It is not as simple. She might have a different idea. Thank God she did not ask Shiva Guru, why did you not choose option B? They both coinciding with option A by itself is a great blessing. Just imagine one rational parent and one emotional parent, how the story would have ended. Both of them being seriously rational about this decision is by itself one of the greatest blessings. Okay. So I wanted you to understand the intensity of Shiva Guru and Aryamba. That is all that I am trying to do. How by they themselves are Mahapurushas. Okay. So time went by. They came all the way from Trishapperur or today's Trishur to Kalati. Slowly days and months went by. Aryamba started to have several divine visions. In one of the visions, in her dreams, she had the vision of Parameshwara or Lord Shiva riding the bull, followed by Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanatana, Sanat Kumara. In the daytime, even while awake, she saw divine visions. She started seeing devatas around her. As in Bhagavata, we tell, all the devatas appeared in front of Devaki and started doing stotram. Satya Vratam, Satya Param, Trisatyam, Satyasya Yonim, Nihita Satyam. Similarly, all the devatas appeared in front of Aryamba. It should all be viewed in a single line. Kausalya and Rama, Devaki and Krishna, Aryamba and Shankara. So, thus, this Aryamba's days and nights were filled with profound tranquility. It was samadhi sthiti for her. Okay. So, it was total absorption. her mind often stood still like a waveless ocean. These divine sights that she was able to encounter, okay, indicated the divine nature of the child that is growing inside her womb. As per the tradition, there is a ritual called Pumsavanam, which has to be performed in the third month. And there is something called Simantonnayanam that has to be performed in the sixth month. In the 10th month, okay, the divine child, Parameshwara himself, was born at the Abhijit Muhurta of the month of Vaishakha or Mesha Masam in the Kartika Lagna. Okay, Vaishakha Shukla Panchami. That is fifth day after the new moon in the nakshatra of Punarvasu. This child was born. Vaishakha Shukla Panchami, this child was born. Madhurya Shankaracharya Vidyaranya Swami writes, Lagne Shubhe Shubhayute Sushuve Kumaram Shri Parvati Vasukhini Subhavikshite Cha Jaya Sati Shiva Gurur Nijatunga Samste Surye Kuje Ravi Sute Cha Guru Cha Kendre. On the auspicious Lagna, when all the auspicious planets, that is all the Subha Nakshatra, all the auspicious planets stood in the appropriate positions. They were all aligning themselves. See, now this child is going to be born. We'll have to present ourselves in the most appropriate positions so that everything anukulam happens to this child. They all aligned. They all had a meeting. Navagraha meeting happened. And they all decided, they all had meeting. The agenda was, where should you stand, where should Suryan go, where should Rahu go, where should Ketu go. I am not really an expert in this area. So I am just trying to imitate as though I am an expert. That's all. I don't know. I am zero in Jyotish Shastra. So, Lagne Shubhe Shubha Yute Sushule Kumaram Shri Parvati Sukhini Subhavi Kshite Chega. Meaning all the auspicious planets stood in their appropriate positions. Shivaguru's wife, that is Aryambha, gave birth to that divine child, just like Parvati Devi gave birth to Lord Subramanya. See where this Upama comes from. Upama is an example. There is a simile here. Just like Parvati Devi delivered Subramanya Swami, similarly Arya delivered Shankara. So Shankara was born. The moment he was born, Vidyaranya gives us a very nice image. He immediately tells Advaita Vada Viparita Madavalambi Hastagravardavara Pustakam Apyakasmate. All the people who had a different philosophy, any other philosopher, I don't want to name them and get into a bad name. Okay. I will not name any other philosophy. But just imagine there are many other philosophers. Now, what Vidyaranya Swami tells is, all the other philosophers, they are holding their philosophy book in their hand. See, like this, they are very closely holding on to their philosophy. Okay. The moment this child was born, all those books fell down, okay, from their hand. It was not intentional dropping. Wantedly, the books went away from them. Advaita Vada Viparita. Whomever was talking anything against Advaita, Advaita Vada Viparita Mata Avalamba. Anybody who were holding on to any other idea other than Advaitam, all those Siddhanta Pustakas fell down. Advaita Vada Viparita Matavalamba Hastagravarta Vara Pustakam Apyakasmate. All those books fell down. They ran behind the books and they were not able to get hold of them. Those books just escaped. They told that, see, there is no use for us hereafter. There is somebody who has come to give you the right knowledge. Why do you even hold on to us? There is soon going to be Shankara Bhashyam for Gita, for Brahma Sutras, and for Upanishads. Better go buy that books and follow them. That's all. Uchai papata jahusuhu shrutimastakaani Shri Vyasa Chitta Kamalam Vikasi Bhabhuve Advaitavada Viparita Madavalamba Hastagravartavara Pustakam Abhyakasmate Uchai Papata Jahusuhu Shruti Mastakani. See how metaphorically Vidyaranya gives this slokam. This Veda, the Veda Mata or the Shruti Mata, which is not understood properly by even by the scholars, it is as though she's she's below the ground level. She is mudded totally. Now, the moment Bahutpada Shankara is born, Shruti Devi started standing up. Uchai papata jahusuhu Shruti mastakani. Shruti Devi found some hope. Abba, there is someone who has come to understand me properly. Uchai papata jahusuhu Shruti mastakani. Shruti started to stand up. Then somebody has to feel happy, right? In Ramayana, the moment Rama was born, we used to tell Dasharatha felt happy, Kausalya felt happy, Krishna was born, then immediately Devaki felt happy, Vasudeva felt happy, Yashoda felt happy, Nandagopa felt, all this we tell. Now here, who feels happy? Who felt happy? Naturally, this slokam has to tell Aryamba felt happy, Shivaguru felt happy, correct? No, that is the twist in the plot. Uchai papata jahushuhu shrutimastakaani Shri Vyasa Chitta Kamalam Vikasi Bhabhuve. Vyasacharya felt happy. See where Vidyaranya's mind goes. The Vyasa who wrote Brahma Sutras, whose sutras are commonly misinterpreted, he felt very happy. The moment Bhagavad-padacharya was born, he thought, Abba, there is somebody to, to write the right commentary, or somebody who understands me is going to write the commentary. Now, as of now, people whoever wrote, because at the start of Bhagavad Gita Bhashyam only, Acharya thinks that there were some pre-existing commentaries for the Prasthanatraya, at least for Bhagavad Gita at least. Because Acharya refers, there has been attempts on interpreting Bhagavad Gita, but it is not in the right side. Meaning, it is not in line with the Shrutis. So now I am going to attempt, for my sake, I am going to give you the right interpretation of the Upanishads. That is the primordial purpose of my life. Okay. So, Bhagavan was born. The moment I tell Bhagavan was born, your mind will commonly seek for a reason. Why is Bhagavan born? For Jivatma to be born, it is because of prarabdha, of our own past karmas. Now, can you tell the same reason here? Can you tell that Bhagavad-padacharya's Purva Karma is the reason why he was born? The only reason he is born, I don't want to tell Prasthanatraya Bhashya Rachana Mandal, that is there. But I wanted to make it personal. His purpose of avataram is only to enlighten us. His purpose of birth is to ensure that we are not born again. Let me put it this way, in a very poetic way. He was born to make sure that we are not born again. The moment you are in the Shankara Margam, the moment you are a Shankara Anuyayi or a follower of Shankara, believe me, this will be a blast birth. It depends on the intensity. It totally depends on the intensity in which you are looking at it. My guru jokingly used to say, if somebody comes and asks you a question, I wanted to go to Delhi from Chennai How many days will it take? How will you answer this question? You cannot answer this question at all. You have to ask another question. You have to ask him, how are you traveling? And only then you can give him an answer. If he is going to tell you by flight, you can tell him 2 hours. If he tells by train, 2 days. If he tells you by cycle, 2 years. It is with respect to his intensity. Because in the same Bhagavad Gita, we have references for both. In one sloka, it tells, Aneka Janma Samsiddha Stato Yati Parangatim. In the same Bhagavad Gita, we have Nachirat Partha, meaning it will not take more time. Maybe in the same Janma only. How is this possible? It is with respect to the intensity in which you are earning. If you are really intensive about this process, you have taken it full time, then this will be the final Janma. I am not talking anything anti-scriptural. The scriptures are ensuring it. The moment you've taken this the mission of your life, it is different. If this is one of the missions of your life, you have many missions, and this is one of the missions of your life, then aneka janma samsiddhas tato yati parangatyam is only going to happen. Okay? So the child who made the entire world happy, Vyasacharya happy, Shivaguru happy, Aryamba happy, was born. Shivaguru, who wished, would have naturally wished to have a long life with Shankara. Accidentally, he only had the bhagyam of living, I mean, the bhagyam of being a contemporary to Shankara for only 3 years. In 3 years, Shivaguru attained Shivaloka Prapti. Mata Aryamba was, what do you call it, doing the role of father and mother. She was all, she had all the potency in the world. What did she do? At the age of 5, with the help of the relatives, she conducted the Upanayana ceremony for this child. Upanayana samskara happened. And what will happen if Upanayana is over? The child has to go to the Veda Pathasala. So, Shankara, whose Upanayana ceremony is over, has now entered the Veda Pathasala. We'll end day 1's lecture here. Okay. So from tomorrow, we'll start with the childhood of Shankara, all the Bala Leelas that happened in Kalati, and starting to yearn for Guru Darshan and initiation into Sannyasa, all those things we'll start seeing from tomorrow. Okay. We'll conclude it for today. We'll continue tomorrow. Namo Namaha. Hara Namah Parvati Pataye. Hara Hara Mahadev. Sadguru Maharaj Ki Jai. Bhagavad Shankaracharya was none other than Kailashvasi Parameshwara, who incarnated as Shankara Bhagavad himself to propagate the philosophy of Advaita Vedanta to all, or to the entire humanity. I accidentally happened to think of a statement made by Jagadguru Vijayashekara Bharati Mahaswamigal. This is something happened here. We requested Jagadguru Acharya to bless the students of our college here in Adi Shankara Institute of Engineering and Technology in Kalati, where I serve as a professor, in order to bless the students on the day of their enrollment. Acharya immediately agreed upon and gave us a video blessing. In the video, Acharya stressed upon a point which was very interesting and worthwhile sharing with you all. Acharya told, the moment Parameshwara had a sankalpa of setting foot on this Punya Bharatavarsha, he immediately thought of quality. So that is the place where Bhagavan himself chose to set foot. The moment he wanted to do jnana vitaranam, or to spread the knowledge to all. So if at all there has to be a college in this country, it is this place from where knowledge has to be disseminated to all. Why? Because when Dakshinamurti himself wanted to propagate the Advaita Siddhanta starting from Kalati, see how grounded are the facts in the minds of our Jagadguru with respect to Kalati, with respect to the fame of Kalati. We saw yesterday how Vidyaranya Mahaswamigal started the Shankara Vijayam with a direct reference to this Kaladi Bhusuragraharam. We also have a privilege that we also know that there was a beautiful Agraharam in the time of Shiva Guru and Aryamba here. But Kala Kramena, all those things started to disappear. And in the year 1927, Jagadguru Chandrasekhara Bharati Mahaswami, who camped here for 10 full months, that is something that we have to clearly note, because that 34th Acharya has only gone for 2 Vijay Yatras in his entire time of Pitadipathyam. He was the Pitadipati of the Sharada Pitam from the year 1912 to 1954, if my memory serves me correct. In the Pitadipatya Kalam, Acharya undertook only 2 Vijay Yatras, and one of that is to our Kalati, and Acharya stayed here for 10 months here in the Math. So this is something that has to be noted, because all Mahapurushas have taken real interest in staying in Kalati, developing Kalati henceforth. So we started the story with Shankara's avataram in Kalati. Prakriti Vikriti Bhinnaha Shuddha Bodha Swabhavaha Sad Asat Idam Asesham Bhasayan Nirviseshaha Vilasati Paramatma Jagrada Dishwavasta Aham iti sakshate sakshi rupena buddhehe prakriti vikriti bhinnaha shuddha bodha swabhavaha. This is slokam number 137 in Viveka Chodapani. Acharya tries to emphasize the point, the supreme self, which is distinct from Prakriti and its modifications. Prakriti, Vikriti, Bhinnaha, which is distinct from Prakriti and its modifications, and which is of the pure nature of consciousness. Shuddha Bodha Swabhavaha, which is devoid of all distinctions, illumines all of this, like both the manifest and the unmanifest. Sat, Asat, Idam, Asesham, Bhasayanne Nirviseshaha. That which illumines all of this. All of this meaning, Sat, Asat, Idam, Asesham, without leaving anything behind. Everything here is illumined by the Atman, that which has manifested and which is yet to be manifested. Sada asat idam asesham bhasayanne. What is shining forth? It is only Atman that is shining forth. Vilasati paramatma jagradadishvavastha. Vilasati meaning that which shines forth in the avastatrayam. The avastatrayam are Jagradavastha, Sushuptyavastha, Swapnavastha. It shines vilasati paramatma jagradadishu avastha. Jagradadishu meaning jagrad, etc. So we'll have to supply the waking state and then the dream state and then the deep sleep state. Vilasati paramatma jagradadishvavastha. How is that? Uh, how can this be recognized? Acharya takes this question and catches this consciousness by telling aham iti sakshat. The notion that you directly feel that I directly as the witness of the intellect. Aham iti sakshat sakshi rupena buddhe. It is sakshi, it is witness for every thought that arises in the intellect. So through every thought, what shines forth? It is the Atman that shines forth. Such profound is the teaching of Bhagavad-padacharya throughout his bhashyam, throughout his Prakarana Granthas, etc. This Bhagavad-padacharya, with such profound knowledge, with such deep understanding of the Siddhanta, imagine how much clarity would have he given to his friends, to his relatives, to all those people that he would have interacted with. This is something that you have to meditate upon. When we go and have darshan of Mahasanidhanam in Sringeri, what is something that will immediately make us or immediately attract us? More than anything, if there is something that attracts us, is the clarity of mind that Mahasanidhanam has got. It is clarity. See, you have to be enormously educated to appreciate the education of all those Mahatmas. So leave away all the appreciations when it comes to his education and all of that. But when you stand aside and see the clarity of mind, what are we dealing with? We are dealing with 3 to 4 people in our family. And just imagine the clutter that we face on a day-to-day life. Maybe 3 to 4 people we remember hardly. At least when we were children, we used to remember 20, 25 phone numbers at least. Now we hardly remember 3 to 4 phone numbers, that too subject to doubt. Acharya literally remembers everybody he has met, every conversation he has striked, and with every person who comes in queue, he can just like that pick up the conversation with respect to where it ended in the last darshan. Nobody has got the time to check the context. They'll just like that come there and tell, I did as Acharya advised me to do. On that very moment, Acharya has to pick up what was the last advice given to them. Just imagine the intensity. In this chaotic situation, if somebody could have so much clarity, that by itself is enough for us to understand that he is Parameshwara himself. You don't need any pramanam from anyone else. If our Mahasannidhanam, who is right in front of us, can undoubtedly be appreciated or acknowledged by a Mandamati like us as Parameshwara, what is the doubt in believing Adi Shankaracharya was direct avataram of Parameshwara? I wanted you to understand something. We are now appreciating somebody who has got extraordinary clarity on the bhashyas. Correct? We are appreciating a true scholar sannyasi who is in front of us, who has developed thorough clarity on the bhashyas. Now, with this, relatively, you have to understand the clarity of mind that Adi Shankaracharya who had, or he might have had, who wrote the Bhashyas. If I'm able to appreciate the Pandityam of a Pitathipati on the Bhashyam, imagine the clarity Acharya would have had who wrote the Bhashyam. I think I'm making sense. For the very first time, I am not talking of a scholar who has studied the Bhashyam and has attained clarity. He is the first one to pen down. And this Bhashyam has sustained itself for the past 1200 plus years without any distortion in it. It has sustained itself on every possible attack on it by Vimatasta or maybe from a foreign force. Let anybody come in and attack, it has sustained itself, it is going to sustain itself. And we are now trying to ponder into the mental clarity that Bhagavad Acharya would have got. Let us do the best that we can. In the age of 3, Shivaguru performed the Chaula Kriya. There is a Vedokta Kriya called Chaulam. So for a Brahmana, there are 40 samskaras that are prescribed totally. And among that, starting from Garbhadanam, Semantonnayanam, all this comes. And among them, there is one called Chaulam, where they keep the shikha for the child. That was something that Shivaguru had the bhagyam of performing to Shankara. He is now Bala Shankara only, no? He performed it, and that was something that he had the bhagyam of doing, after which he gave away his mortal coil. Shivaguru passed away. Shankaracharya or Shankara, Bala Shankara took every opportunity to reflect. For small children, they take every opportunity to reflect upon. You don't know what will be the Purva Janma Jnanam that they have attained. We have to entertain them in every possible situation and see how they react. Shankara looked upon the corpse and started entertaining the thought, if this body cannot move by itself, then with whom are we having all the conversations? With whom are we talking? With whom are we engaging in discussions? With whom are we developing an emotional sense of attachment? All this vicharam has started at a very young age only. So after Chaulam, it was Pitru-Viyogam. The father passed away. And then, as I briefly told yesterday, Aryamba performed the Upanayana Samskaram of this child at the age of 5 with the help of relatives. It has now become customary for us that the father does the Gayatri Upadesha to the child. It has now become customary. But when you look into the Grihya Sutras, which prescribes us the method in which all this have to be performed, this Upadesha of Gayatri need not be strictly performed by the father. I'm going by the books. Okay, I'm just going by the books. So if there are few sentiments getting hurt here and there, I would like to say sorry at the start only. I personally feel that anybody who gets the authority to do Upadesam should have attained Mantra Siddhi. If I have to do Upadesam of Gayatri to my own son, which requires me to have attained Siddhi over that mantra. I do not know about the mental level of Siddhi that I could attain, but at least at gross level, I should have attained Siddhi. Now, what do you mean by gross level? At least I should have achieved a few numbers. Now, what do we say here? Meaning, I should have done Akshara Laksha Japa. Gayatri has got 23 Aksharas, which means in order for me to do Upadesha of Gayatri to my own son, I should have at least performed one Akshara Laksham Japam of Gayatri, which means only 23 lakhs Japam I should have performed, which makes me eligible to do so. which will fructify in the person to whom I am doing the Upadesa. Otherwise, what will happen? For the sake of Upadesa, I will do. But will it fructify? Will it have an effect? I want you to take this decision. I don't want to give you the answer. So we'll have to decide. So what happens? Even when the father is around, it need not be customary that the father has to do Upadesa. See, our Mahapurushas have all gone with the help of Lakshana only. They have not gone with the help of sentiments. I'll tell you one story. We know one Mahatma from West Bengal in the name Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He belonged to a different sampradaya, different philosophy, but that is different. He was a Mahatma. He was a great Pandita. He was a Vayyakarana. He was also very good in Nyaya Shastram, Nayayika also. Okay. In his Saritra, what happened is, when his Upanayana Samskaram happened, or the function of sacred thread, after the ceremony was over, any child has to go for Bhikshatana. And the first person to whom the child will go will be to the child's mother. He'll go there. I mean, now it is all happening inside a mantapam or in a house or somewhere. But in olden days, it was practically Bhavati Bhikshandehi, they'll have to go on arms. The mother of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, her name was Sachi Devi. He was ready to offer food to the children, to his child, but the child did not go to the mother. He directly went to the maid who helped his mother in the house. The child went to the helper and asked for Bhavati Bhikshandehi. Everybody was stunned. Nobody expected this. On inquiry, on questioning, the child told, "Hey, Ambha, you have not taken up the vratam of Ekadasi Upavasa. I don't want food from you. I want food from somebody who is following their own dharma. Just merely being my mother will not give you the opportunity to serve me. If you have to serve me, you have to go by your dharma." See, imagine there is no sentiments here. It's only rational. You qualify, I'll come to you. It is as simple as that. So, it can be any Mahatma. In those days, even great Yajna Dikshitas, famous Vajpayis, all the Ganapatis who come to the Upanayana, they can even be called to do the Mantropadesha of Gayatri. So one such Mahatma should have definitely had the Bhagyam, and the tapas who lived in Kalati should have done Mantropadesham to Bharatavarsha Shankara. So the Upanayana Samskaram was over. The very moment this child heard the Gayatri Mantram, it started ringing or ringing in the minds of this child. When you read Yoga, Enlightenment and Perfection, the Anubhavas of Jagadguru Abhinavadhya Tirtha Mahaswami held Acharya nicely writes, after Gayatri Upadesham, in a very few days, he started chanting it even in his dream. Even in his dream, the mantra just kept flowing. Dharana. It just kept his mind adapted to the chant of Gayatri immediately after the Upadesha. Such is the intensity of the mantra could have on you. So Upanayanam was over. The moment Upanayanam comes, it is the mother who will take a lot of suffering, because once Upanayanam is over, the child will go for Gurukula Vasa. He will have access to the child only till the age of 5 or 7. That I don't want to go beyond that, because the Shruti is specifically telling it has to be in Garbhashtamam. Garbhat Ashtamam, so 0 plus 7, including Garbhakalam plus 7. Okay, so 0 plus 7 is 7. So totally 8. From Garbham, it is Ashtamam. So 1 year, it is in Garbham, 7 years outside. So 7 plus 1, 8 totally. But when it comes to the reference of the body after the date of birth, it has to be 7 only. Okay. So 7 years, and the 7th year is the maximum. Worst case 9 or 11 maximum. The child has to be given the Upanayana samskara. And by 5, Bhagavad Padacharya had the bhagyam of taking up the sacred thread. The moment that was over, he wanted to go to the Patasala. It seems maybe within the vicinity of Kalati, maybe hardly 15 to 20 kilometers away, Shankara has undergone Vedic studies. This is what we understand with respect to the vicinity of Patasalas and with respect to local incidents that we hear here. Okay. So Shankara went to the Veda Patasala and started doing Adhyayana. That by itself is a tapas. That by itself is tapas. They have to get up early, they'll have to do their own chores, they'll have to wash their own clothes, they have to wash their own plates, they have to do Guru Sishrusha. Not only that, they also have to do Guru Mata Sishrusha. They have to clean the Patasala, they have to help their Sahapatis and then study. They have to study new Patam, old Patam, they have to keep recollecting. It is tapas, it is nishtha, it is not as easy as we think it is to be. Because normally in the world, people think that if they are not eligible for Laukika Vidya, they send them for Patasala. That is not how it has to be. It should be the reverse. It should just be the reverse. Okay. So the most brilliant and the brightest have to be in the Patasala only, because that requires that level of potency. In fact, in Prachina Sampradaya, if you see, from Vedarambham, okay, we have this Vedarambham Utsavam, no? From Vedarambham, for 6 months, they'll undergo Veda Patam. At the start of Dakshinayana Punyakalam, they'll undergo Shastra Patam. In 6 months Veda Patam, 6 months Shastra Patam, 6 months Veda Patam, 6 months Shastra Patam. And whatever they've learned for 6 months, they should not forget in the next 6 months. So when they undergo this study, they will keep recollecting the other. When they undergo the other studies, they'll keep recollecting this. Imagine how sharp they'll have to be, how their intellect has to be in order to survive this sort of an education. So Shankara undergoes it. And in order to have unity in the society, and also that when children start studying, when they start acquiring knowledge, unknowingly Garvam might creep in. Okay, the more they get educated, unknowingly Garvam will come. Garvam is Mamata. Meaning they look at somebody and immediately start feeling, oh, I have studied this, that fellow doesn't know it. That is how it is. That is how the world works. Predominantly, I'm not referring to Mahapurushas, but on a normal case. So what happens? These children who undergo studies in Veda Patasala, they have, what do you call it? It is customary for them that they go on alms to the neighboring houses, so that what happens? They do not have the same intensity of Garvam inside them. I don't have any reference for this understanding. It is totally my own interpretation, that's all. When you are requested to depend on another person for your food, how can you be bold enough to criticize them tomorrow? Right? When I create a social order where you are dependent on somebody for food, you cannot afford to criticize them. It's very common, no? It can easily be understood. So, this Shankara, who is undergoing studies, is also, even in South India and Tamil Nadu, there are few Veda Patasalas existing even today, where children go on alms. And the problem that they face is enormous. It is not as easy. It is not that they just like that go on alms. In order to give you food, in order to give you alms, they really have to be really qualified to do so. It is not random home knocking. It is not knock knock. Who is there? I'm here to get Bhiksha. It is not as easy as we think so. They'll have to be qualified enough to give you. They'll have to be acharavanta first. They'll have to follow achara. Otherwise, if I randomly start eating food at random houses, those behaviors will start impacting my life also. So I'll have to be very choosy in getting alms from people. So this Bala Shankara, who is also in the social order, goes on alms. And in one of the houses, in one of the streets in which Bhagavad or Shankara, Bala Shankara goes, he sees a house which is severely struck by poverty. And normally, what will the world interpret if you see a house that where you see no what you call money, or there is no what you call scope for life? The moment you see, how will you interpret it? In the moment you see that, you will interpret it this way: it is that they are suffering their prarabdham. They have done something bad, they are experiencing it. It is as simple. So this is how we evaluate. But when it comes to Mahatmas, though they know it is because of their prarabdham, they'll still think beyond and think in this direction. How can I help them go beyond it? Is there anything that I can help them with? It is very easy to tell that they are suffering because of prarabdham. That is the ready-made answer. Everybody can think in that direction. It is correct also. But this is not the way in which the Mahatmas would think. What would they think? I understand their suffering. They have come in contact with me. Is there anything that I can do to help them go beyond it? This is a natural flow of thought for Mahatmas. Natural flow of thought for others are just to think that they are suffering something that they have done in the past. That's all. This child stood there for a few moments and started analyzing the reasons for their suffering. What is it? He immediately understood they should have done some papa karma in their past janmas. Thinking of that, he shouted, Amba, bhavati bhikshandehi iti. Amba, bhavati bhikshandehi. Immediately, a Brahmin woman came out of the house and saw this Bala Shankara, who was hardly 5.5 years old, wearing nice vibhuti in the lalatam, wearing only a loin cloth covering the marmasthanas, maybe having a stick in his hand, and a bag made up of vastram, which was readily made to collect food. That's all. How would have she felt? She has immediately caught hold of this Mahatma and felt what a great bhagyam it is. This child coming in front of us and requesting us to give food. How can I even miss this opportunity? That very moment, he told the child to wait for a moment and went inside. He knew there is nothing inside. The kitchen is empty. I hope so. The Grihastha has gone somewhere to bring some food. Because there is no reference of Grihastha here in the story. There is only the Grihini. Hoping something would be available, she went inside the house. Unfortunately, nothing was available. She kept searching every vessel. She kept searching all the vessels, and she remembered there was one vessel in which she has kept something called Indian gooseberry or amalaka in Sanskrit. In Tamil, it is called Nellikkai. Indian gooseberry. To be very specific, it is salted Indian gooseberry. Okay, Uppu Nellika. It is salted, it seems. It struck her hand. Just imagine the happiness that she would have felt. Within this span, Bhagavad-Padacharya, who is standing outside the house, deeply looked into the house. We would naturally think he is expecting that lady to come out soon. Though his vision was fixed on the house, he was not trying to focus on the house. He was trying to gain information about this lady's past janma. Why is she suffering so much? दद्यद्यानुपवनो द्रविणाम्बुधार अस्मिन्न किञ्चन विहङ्गशिशौ विषन्ने दुष्कर्म घर्ममपनीय चिराय दूरम् नारायण प्रणयिनी नयनाम्बुवासः दद्यद्यानुपवनो द्रविणाम्बुधार अस्मिन्न किञ्चन विहङ्गशिशौ विषन्ने. Hey Amba, hey Mahalakshmi, I totally understand that these people have done some bad in the past. I'm not going to tell that they didn't do anything. I can see that. Dushkarma gharma mapaniye. I understand, I see that. But as your own child, I am requesting you to throw away all the past sins that they have done. Dushkarma gharma mapaniya chiraya duram narayana pranayini nayanambuvahagara angam harehe pulakabhushanamashrayanti Bringanganeva Mukula Abharanam Tamalam Angikrita Kila Vibhuti Rapangalila Mangalyadastu Mama Mangala Devataya Angam Harehe Pulakabhushanam Ashrayanti. There is a vriksha called Tamala Vriksha that can, in large numbers, it can be witnessed in Sri Vrindavan. It will be dark blue in color. There is one such Samala Vriksham that is found at the backyard of this lady. This child which was waiting for this lady to come out, in the meantime, Shankara caught hold of this tree, which is Samala Vriksham, and he also found a nice happening there. He witnessed a dark in color bee which is trying to settle down in one of the holes of the tree. This is the vision he had. One of the bees, not a honey bee, it's a normal bee. This is now trying to settle down in the hole. If we have noted down a bee, it can be noted that it is highly restless in nature. A bee will be mostly restless. It will not settle down very soon as we expect it to be. So it keeps lingering around before sitting. Now Shankara tells, just like this bee trying to find a place inside a hole in this tree, now this Samala Vriksham is compared to Bhagavan Srinivasa. Srinivasa meaning where Sri Nivas, meaning where Amba is living. The Hridayasthanam of Swami Srinivasa is similar to the hole that is found in the tree. The color of Tamala Vriksham is very similar to Bhagavan. This hole is similar to his Srivatsam, and this bee is compared to Mahalakshmi, where the bee is often found to be restless. Similarly, Mahalakshmi also keeps moving in his heart, and while she moves left and right, it happens that this Mahalakshmi touches the heart of Bhagavan, and immediately Bhagavan experiences goosebumps. Correct? Now let me halt for a moment and give you one shock. When a lady touches a gem, and that immediately that gem feeling goosebumps, how can a 5-year-old child understand? This one shloka is enough to understand he is a Sarvajna. That's all, over. Can a 5-year-old child understand this? If you want to try explaining it to them and see. He is a Sarvajna Murti. And by only one shloka, he has surpassed Bhavubhuti Kalidasa, everybody. I don't think anybody can even approach our Acharya. He has completed it here. And what she does is, she sits in the heart of Bhagavan, and when we are all coming in the line, Imagine Tirupati. When you go to Tirupati Tirumala line, the wall is like 7 feet tall. And Mahalakshmi is approximately 5.558. She is in the heart of Bhagavan. When we start coming in the line, this Bhagavan will look at us with all anger by telling this fellow went there, did this, spoke lies, spoke this and that, and how dare he approaches me. That very moment he thinks of it, this mother who is there in the heart will immediately look at Swami and tell, don't get offended. He might have done 1,000 things, but at last he is here. But at last he is here. So she pacifies him. At the same moment, she turns towards us and tells, see, for this time I have pacified him. Next time I will not be there. So don't repeat it. So once she looks at the Bhakta and looks at the Swami, telling don't repeat. He looks at the Swami and looks at the Bhakta, telling forgive him. Likewise, for every devotee, she looks at the devotee, looks at the Swami, looks at the Swami, looks at the devotee. This is what Acharya is conveying here by telling, Mama Mangala Devataya. Where did this Mama Mangala Devataya come from? It is because she talks, she represents me there. She is pacifying Bhagavan to forget all my Papa karmas. So this is the game she is playing. Angi krita kila vibhuti rapanga leela. This is the leela that she performs. This is the game that she plays to make me purer and pacify Bhagavan. Just because she is taking up this project, she is my mother. Mama Mangala Devataya. Namostu Nalita Nibhananayai. Namostu Dubdhodati Janma Bhumyai. Namostu Somamrita Sodarayai. Namostu Narayana Vallabhayai. The slokam nicely ends with a set of Namavali on Mahalakshmi. This lady immediately came out with with one salted gooseberry and laid it in the patram of Shankara. Compassion overflowed through the eyes of this child. I don't even imagine that he would have appreciated the gooseberry. He was there settling down in a dhyanastha city, praying to Amba. He just left the house, didn't even turn and see what happens. What happened? History says that it rained golden gooseberries there. The beauty that you have to take away from the story is don't be surprised by the golden gooseberry rain. This child who was able to produce a golden gooseberry rain was walking in the streets with a single loincloth. He was walking the streets with a single loincloth, but at Sankalpam he can produce a golden gooseberry rain. This is the takeaway. This is how detached he was. This is how Vairagyam was his Swarupam, but Bhogam was not his Swarupam. So every story has got a deeper part to it, right? The moment you go away with the top layer, you will lose it. You will just like that settle with Kanakadhara Stotra, keep reading it and looking at the roof, whether will it rain golden gooseberries in the house. If you settle down with the Stotram only. But you should never settle down with the Stotram. You will settle down with the person who wrote the Stotram. That is our aim for the 7 days. It is not the Stotram that is our aim. It is the Stotra Karta who is our aim. So travel with Shankara. Don't settle down with Kanakadhara. Going ahead, when Shankara completed his Vedic studies from the year 5 to 8, he came home. Aryamba was very happy to get back Shankara. Now Shankara is a Shastrajna. He has undergone the Vedic studies. He has undergone the Shastric studies. He has come home in 3 years. Soon the fame of this child reached the locality. One king with the name Rajashekara came to Kalati. He came to Kalati with beautiful elephants. Needless to tell, Kerala is famed for its elephants. He brought a few elephants with him. He brought a few plates of flowers, gold ornaments, everything, and submitted it in front of an 8-year-old child. Gave it to Shankara. Immediately, the child asks, "Why are you giving me this?" Now, there is no reason. I thought of offering it to you. I'm giving it to you. See, these plates are filled with gold and ornaments. As a brahmachari, I cannot have any of this. Better take them with you. No, I have a lot of money. No. We have enough money with us. Let you have more with you. You prosper. If the king prospers, the people are going to prosper. So better take this with you. Then immediately Rajashekara told, "What else can I offer you?" Shankara told, "There is nothing there to be offered. You tell me what is that you want." He has come all the way to give you. Correct? If you go and offer him, what is there? You only have to receive it from him. Then Rajashekara immediately told, "I have written 3 dramas. So whenever you write something, there is a process called Vyakarna Shuddhi. So when you write something, you will most probably oversee the mistakes. Your mistakes will never be evident to you. When people write big texts, they'll submit it to a grammarian. That is a Vyakarana, and ask and will request them to do Shuddhi or clean it. Similarly, he gave the 3 dramas to Shankara for Bhagavad-Padacharya's blessings. Acharya went through the entire text. All the 3 dramas he went through, gave few suggestions here and there, told to alter a few positions, stanzas, slokas, and blessed him. When a king comes, the fame will really go up, right? Then everybody in the locality started to understand this is not a normal child at all. Imagine the king coming and serving a small child. Local people started to feel very proud of Bhagavad-Pada. Everybody here and there who passes through Kalati have started visiting this house, and will also inquire, is this the house of this wonder boy? This 8-year-old child whom the king approaches, who helped one of the families to become rich, is this boy here? So this fame went around. Correct? Now after Shivaguru, after Patasala, this is the private time between the mother and the son. Okay, so Aryamba is having the best time with Shankara. Frequently, Aryamba would go to Purna Nadi for Snanam. And also would visit a nearby Shivakshetram for Shiva Darshanam. This is all in her routine. In one of the days, what happens when she approached the Shiva temple, it was quite far away. People normally interpret it to be Trishiva Pelur or Trishur, as we call it today, which is 50 kilometers away from Kaladi. So one day what happened, Parameshwara came in the dreams of Aryamba and told her that don't walk all the way till Trishur. I have decided to keep a copy of me near your house. I'm going to keep a copy of me, don't worry. Which means I'm going to do a separate avataram for you. And Aryamba asked, where? Don't worry. When you go to the river and come back, you will understand, you will see a sthana where you will see a white deer playing around. It will be a unique scene that you will have. That is the place where I will be present for you. The very next day, when she went to Purna and came back, he saw a place where a white deer was playing. That place is even now called Tiruvellaiman Tulli here in Kalati. This is from Kalati. This place is hardly 5 to 6 kilometers away. Not even 2 to 3 kilometers away. So in Malayalam, Thiru Vellai Maan Tulli. Vellai is white, Maan is deer, Tulli is jumping. So that is the place where we found the white deer jumping. There, a beautiful temple was built. A Swayambhu Murti of Parameshwara came there. It is a very small temple, very nice temple on a small hillock. Okay, when people come to Kalati, never miss this kshetram. It's a very nice temple. So she had this darshana. Frequently, she used to go to Purna Nadi for snan. And one of the days she went and it took her a lot of time to come back. Shankara, who was waiting for his mother, when he noted that it has been long since she has gone, he came all the way running in search of his mother. And he found she has fainted on the way when she walked from Purna to the house. What was the problem? The problem was it was scorching sun. It was scorching. The sun was scorching. So immediately Shankara thought, my mother wants to take bath in Purna. Purna is pretty far. And immediately what he did was he went running towards Purna, immediately joined his arms and started praying towards Purna by telling, Ambe Supurne Karuna Bhuvahe Galanti Bhuma Vanukampaya Tvam Tvadiya Nire Bhava Sindhu Tire Nimajya Puto Vanani Bhaveyam Ambe Supurne Karuna Bhuvahe. He Supurne is referring to Purna Nadi. He Supurne Karunambuvahe. It appears as though water is flowing, but it is actually compassion that is flowing through you. Karunambuvahe Galanti Bhuma Vanukampaya Tvam Tvadiya Nire Bhava Sindhu Tire Nimajya Puto Janani Bhaveyam Shrute Rivartam Sarati Mataha Mune Rivantar Mananam Nikantam Aham Chidananda Raseti Goshaga Shruti Prasiddhaha Tvanireshatemba. Imagine an 8-year-old child going and praying to river Purana. His mother immediately thought, hey Shankara, it is nature. What are you praying to nature? No, ma. I wanted this river to run closer to her house. So I was requesting Nadi Mata Purnamba to do so. How cute it is, no? How cute is this? Shankara immediately went there and prayed. Immediately Aryamba came running, hugged Shankara, kissed him in the forehead and told, how nice, how cute of you, Shankara. It is so nice that you wanted the river to be accessible to me. The moment you did prarthana, that by itself is enough for me. All my worries have gone. All my tiredness have gone. When you are there with me, what is the trouble that I'm going to take? Don't worry. Don't worry. So she came all the way to the house with Shankara. He didn't even expect what is about to happen. He didn't even expect that very same night, midnight, Aryamba started hearing chala, 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 water flowing sound. She thought, is it raining outside? She woke up, opened the windows and saw the river has changed its course from where it was actually running. It has changed its course and it is now running at the neighboring vicinity of Aryamba. She immediately turned towards the child and saw, hey Shankara, I am thinking that you are my child. Huh? Am I getting fooled here? When Prakriti listens to you, when the river changes its course, what is the wonder? What is going to be the wonder in Tomorrow, people losing their flow of thought or flow of life by listening to your bhashyas, when they change their thought, what is the wonder? You understand, no? We listen to the bhashyas and change the course of our life. Is this wonderful? No. Why? It is not something that should cause anxiety. It is something that is very natural. When somebody has control over Prakriti, how far are our minds from Prakriti? What is our mind made up of? It is again Prithvi, Apaha, Tejaha, Vayu, Akashaha, Prakriti, no? When he can control one of that is river, how much long is it going to take for this child to take control of our hearts? There is nothing if people are going to listen to you tomorrow. And she understood that she has been misinformed about the child. And that very moment, I think so, she would have recollected the divine dream that Shiva Guru would have told that Parameshwara himself would be their child. She would have recollected that dream. Oh, I've been thinking this is my own child. No, no, no. This is Parameshwara himself. Shankara was normally noted in quality to spend a lot of time in seclusion. He used to sit in one of the places, keep meditating. What is this showing? Aryamba cannot be fooled. She is noting every step of this boy. She comes and sits near Shankara and asks him, what is that you are thinking of? Nothing, ma. Nothing Vishesham. Then, Amba, there is something in life. What? Moksham. What is moksham? Going beyond the cycle of birth and death. That is the absolute final destination of this human birth. If that is the absolute final destination, if that is decided, if you have decided your destination, you have to walk towards the destination. If you have not decided, it doesn't matter in which direction you walk. If you are on ad hoc, you plan your trip to another country. This time this country, next time this country, next time that country, you keep planning. Because you've not decided on your destination. But the moment you've decided, every step of yours should be towards the destination alone. Do you agree, Amma? What can Aryamba tell? She told yes. Oh, you're telling yes, is it? Yes. Mokshasya hetuhu prathamo nigadyate vairagyamadhyantamanipyavastushu tatas samaschapi damaskitiksha nyasa prasakta kila karmanam. 71st slokam Viveka Chodamani. I wanted to look into Shankara Charitram to Shankara's works only. Mokshasya hetuhu prathamo nigadyate. Ma, intense dispassion towards this ephemeral objects in the world, that which will come and go, which will give you only temporary happiness. We should have intense dispassion towards those worldly objects, which are ephemeral in nature. This is the first prerequisite for moksha. Mokshasya hetuhu pratamataha nigadyate vairagyam atyantam anitya vastushu. Atyanta vairagyam. That is why I am using the word intense dispassion. Atyanta vairagyam. We are not talking about just for students here. We are dealing with the supreme personality here. This is a class filled with toppers, and we are talking about a topper in a class filled with toppers. So we'll have to set our standard real high. We are not talking about people who are starting who is starting dispassion and all that. We are talking about vairagyam atyantam anitya vastushu. If at all it's going to pull you down, if at all you know it's going to pull you down, the very next moment, cut off the, you cut the passion that you have for it. You are very sure that is going to pull you down, right? Yes. Then cut that off. If you are still going to cleanse them, don't talk about moksha. At least do that for all. At least don't talk about moksha. If you are still going to cleanse them, there is not even 1% opportunity of you coming to moksha. That is for sure. You can never attain moksha clinging on, along with clinging on to all the objects that you love. That is never ever going to happen. So intense dispassion towards ephemeral objects in the world, of the world, is the first prerequisite for liberation. Point 1. After that, tataha samaschapi damastitiksha nyasa prasakta kila karmanam vrisham. Then he talks about samaha. Tatas samaha. Tataha meaning after that. Samaha meaning restraint of the mind. I used to use a word channelizing the mind. I don't want to use the word going beyond the mind. That will definitely happen in due course. There is no sthanam for mind at all. Mind by itself is pratibhasikam or fiction only. It will not sustain. But given today's status of us, we need the mind in a prepared way. If I am going to require to travel, I need an elephant or a horse. I need the horse or elephant useful for my travel, which means I need them controlled or I need them channelized. If something is controlled and channelized, it becomes useful. If something is not controlled, even though it's beneficial in nature, I will not be able to use that at all. This will starting from the horse, right from your child. This will apply for everything. Believe me. This will apply for everything around you. If it is controlled, it will be useful. If it is uncontrolled, how can you ever use it? This is not going to function at all. So, tataha samaschapi, restraining the mind. Then going ahead with dhamaha, sense control. At least minimum sense control. What do you mean by minimum sense control? At least when you are sitting in the Vedanta Patha, if you are not able to cut out the distractions, what can be more told about that? Hardly 1.5 hours. For this 1.5 hours, if we are not able to dedicate for ourselves, meaning if the senses are not in our control, you understand, no, there is no use even talking more in that direction. This is basic qualification. You sit down, you keep your phone away, you tell people that you should not be disturbed for the next 90 minutes. You dedicate this time for yourself and listen. This is bare minimum requirement, right? We'll start from there. Damaha, titiksha, then comes forbearance. Tam titikshasva bharate. Bhagavan tells this in Bhagavad Gita, starting only. Tam titikshasva bharate. Forbear your prarabdham. It is going to come and hit you. At times it is going to come and hit you hard. Nothing can be done. Forbear it. Titiksha. You have to. Nothing can be done. If you want to escape it, hold on to Bhagavan. Hold on to Bhagavad Gita. He'll help you distract so that you won't focus on it. But you cannot bypass it. You cannot bypass the karma phala. Nobody will help you bypass the karma phala. You can distract yourself. You can distract yourself into Bhagavad Katha Shravanam, focus on something, Bhagavan's Rupa Darshanam, Bhagavan's Guna Shravanam, Bhagavan's Katha Shravanam. You will focus on that. How did how did Bhattatri distract himself from the paralysis that he got? He distracted into Bhagavad Katha, he distracted into Narayaniyam. Similarly, Damaha Titiksha, then comes Nyasaha. Only then comes Nyasaha, which means renunciation of all motivated actions, renunciation of all motivated actions, or renunciation towards all motivated actions should be developed. Tatas samassa vidamastitiksha nyasa prasakta kila karmanam vrisam. Seripa, okay, this is all very nice to hear. Why do you keep talking about sannyasam? Amma, my mind is not settling down in the samsara yatra. It is longing for renunciation. It would have struck Karyamba's mind like a thunderbolt for the very first time when her own kid, who is barely 8 years old, utters the word sannyasa swikaranam. Amma, if that is going to be the goal of life, what are we even doing here? We'll have to approach a guru. We'll have to get the upadesas. Huh? What am I doing here? When Vivekananda came from America back to India, he first went to Sri Lanka. So you find a very nice book called Lectures from Colombo to Almora, all lectures of Swamiji. So from Colombo, Almora is somewhere in Himalayas. Lectures from Colombo to Almora. So he went to Sri Lanka. And in one of the vehicles, he was taken to the lecture hall. On the way, the car or the cart in which he was going halted for a few minutes. He told the people who were accompanying him, this village is going to produce a great yogi and a Mahatma. He just uttered it and went away. He came to the hall in which he started the lecture. He started the lecture by telling, there is a huge goal in front of us which has to be attained in this very same Janma. There is a huge, big goal in front of us. The time left is very less. Be vigilant. Make sure every effort that you put is taking you towards the goal. Do not get distracted. Be with a vigilant mind. Approach a guru. Hear the Vedas. Do mananam. Attain the nididhyasanam. Attain atmajnana. That's all. He completed the first sentence. Immediately, a boy from the very first row stood up and left. That is all he had to hear. He just stood up and left the hall. That's all. Then the lecture continued for the next 1.5 hours. This yogi, who he mentioned will come from that village for this boy who has come and sat here for the lecture. He stood there and left the hall. That's all. He went out. He became a great yogi and an Atma Sakshatkara Pursha. This is how intense we expect it to be. We are not talking about people who wanted to spend some time here. Just like that, I'll go attend. Let me see what he is telling. That is not what those are not the people we are targeting at. That is not the people whom we are looking at. We want viewers. We want people who are intense in this. The moment Bhagavad uttered it, Aryamba turned towards Shankara and hugged him and told, why do you want to leave me? Why do you want to go somewhere? Amma, the Vedas declare that Amma or Mata is Sakshat Devam. Matru Devo Bhavai. I will never do anything without your permission, Amma. He didn't tell that I will not leave you. He told, I will find a way to get your permission. That's what he told. I'll figure out a way. This is how the story goes. But I have a deeper impact on Aryamba's Gunam. There is no need for blackmailing her. There is no need for finding out a way to leave. He is a Mahati who has delivered a Mahatma. We'll have to keep Aryamba at that standard. We should not pull down Aryamba at any point. We'll have to maintain her at the level of Devaki, who gave Krishna, or Yasoda, who gave Krishna for the world. We have to maintain her at the level of Kausalya, who gave Rama for the world. Yam palayasi dharmantum bhrityaya niyamena cha savai raghava sardula dharmam stvam abhirakshatu. Do you think that Aryamba wouldn't have understood the intensity of Shankara being required for the world? Do you think Aryamba did not understand the suffering that the world had? Do you think Aryamba wouldn't have understood the requirement that the world had on Shankara? It is at the surface level, she would have exhibited few tendencies of emotion. Deep inside Aryamba is a Mahati. What would have she tried to tell us, as Bhagavan tells in Panchamodhyaya Bhagavad Gita, become a Sarva Sankalpa Sannyasapa, why do you want Ashrama Svikaram? That is what I think you would have mentioned. Sarva Sankalpa Sannyasi, Bhagavan tells this, no? You sacrifice everything at the mental level only. Maybe that is what she might have intended. She tried to prevent. But the flow of events were different. What was the flow of events? This Shankara, who wanted to attain Vairagyam in the same Janma, is also correct. At the same time, it cannot be done at the cost of leaving your family. So Aryamba tries to tell that you somehow fix this and then go. It should be, so I am just trying to read in between lines, that's all. From Shankara's point, what is he trying to tell? Atmani, Varnashrama, Vayo, Avastadi, Visesha Ityadi. Tam Samashritya, Pravartante Shastrani. The Shastras will try and put you inside the lock of Varna Dharma, Ashrama Dharma, etc. All these will be required in Atma Vijnanati Prak Pravartamanam Shastram Avidya Vishayatyam. This is only from the viewpoint of an Ajnani, not the tough Jnani. Aryamba's Paksham is, but still you are in the body. You are seen in the body. Some sort of completion has to be there. You settle it down and then leave. That is the, what do you call it? A different level of conversation that cannot be captured in any sloka. Don't search for a sloka for this conversation. It is only there at the mental level. If you understand Aryamba, we will understand this conversation. That's all. So it is there. Shankara wanted to leave. Aryamba wanted Shankara to stay. It is a stalemate as of now. In the meantime, Bhagavad-padacharya was also thinking of a person to whom he has to go and surrender. He only wanted to leave. He spoke this to his mother. But whom to approach? Whom to go and surrender to? He was also inquiring on the same, and accidentally a group of sannyasis came to Kalati. They came to Kalati. They came to this particular Gusuragraharam and came and visited this particular house. That is why I laid the foundation by telling this house is already famous now. So there will be no surprise in a group of people searching and coming to this house. Is the boy of wonder available? Who is that? It is our Balashankara only. Yes, the sannyasis came in. They all sat down. Aryamba is very pious in nature. She is a karma yogi in nature. She will not leave anyone who comes to their house without eating. So she immediately started cooking, and Shankara was very observant about this rishi because I already told you he is very passionate about sannyasa dharma. So the Vesha Bhushanas of the sannyasi were really, what you call, gaining the attention of Shankara. He was very keen. He sat with them, started inquiring. And Shankara also sat with those sannyasis to eat. And one of the sannyasis was peculiarly different. He was hardly 2.5 to 3 feet tall. Shankara thought, who is this sannyasi? Who is this yogi? He was just pondering upon and immediately found it is none other than Bhagavan Agastya. Agastya is the one who has come. And immediately when Aryamba goes inside the kitchen to bring food now every time, in the meantime, he will strike a conversation with this kid. The moment Aryamba goes inside, he'll tell this boy, see, your guru is waiting for you. He'll just drop a stone inside the well. The moment Shankara processes it, next sentence will come. See, you have to start your journey as early as possible. You will have to start crossing the rivers like Purna, Pratichi, Krishna, Tunga, Godavari, etc. and reach the banks of the river Narmada. There in Narmada, there is a kshetram called Omkareshwara. Whom to find in Omkareshwara? There is a yogic parampara that is coming down. Starting from Sadashiva, Narayana, Brahma, Vasishta, Shakti, Parashura, Vyasa, Shuka, Gaudapada, and your guru who is waiting for you, who is going the Bhagavad Pada. When should I leave? It is up to you. It is up to the intensity that you have in mind to leave. He is just triggered, he has ignited it. The job of his arrival is over. Agastya's job is over. He has ignited the kid. And he told Aryamba, okay, I have had enough food. I have delivered the post. Here is the post. No, the receiver has received it. You are not the receiver. The receiver has received it. Now already Shankara's mind, which was deeply penetrated by the teachings of Upanishads and Gayatri, has now struck a point, and one name is lingering in his mind, that is Govinda Bhagavad Pada. Sa eva mama guruhu, Govinda Bhagavad Pada. Narmada Nadi Tiram, Govinda Bhagavad Pada. This is what is again and again and again and again coming. And accidentally what happened, when they changed the course of the river, right? You remember the story, no? When Purna Nadi changed its course, there was a Krishna temple on the banks of this river Purna, in the new banks. The river was already running in a different path. Now it has changed its course. So it's now running very close to the Krishna temple, which has already started to damage the temple. So what did the Grama Samuham started to do? They've started to gather on meetings in order to discuss the relocation of the temple. And in every meeting, or Bala Shankara will be a part. Certain things you cannot imagine. It will not fit your logic at all. How can they consider an 8-year-old child in a Samuha meeting? I still don't understand. Who will even consider? Certain things will be beyond logic. When Krishna changed the course of the Indra Yagam to Govardhana Puja, Krishna was 7 years old. Will anybody consider a child's Vakyam on this? For many centuries, the Yadavas were performing Indra Yagam. Suddenly, Krishna came up and told, no. Why do you bribe Indra? Let him do his duty. Instead, we'll do all this puja to Govardhanachalam. Andhaya Adri Rabhala Haridasavariyaha. Among all the devotees, this Adri, meaning this mountain, is the best. Better offer your pujas to Govardhanam. See, When a child tells this, will anybody respect it? But see, there are certain children who are respected beyond their age. It will be so intense. In order to even believe this, it is very difficult for us because we have lost such Mahatmas in that age. We tell that the 33rd Jagadguru, Sachidananda Shiva Bharati Mahaswamigal, took up sannyasa in the age of 8. And this happened 150 years ago. Hardly 150 years ago, we had a sannyasi in a parampara who was only 8 years old. Just look around and find a child who is 8 years old and see. What sort of maturity will the child have? Do you think the child can be given Pitadipatyam? First of all, can an 8-year-old child let to be sleep alone in a room? Leave Pitadipatyam and all of that. Can you leave an 8-year-old child sleep alone in a room? Nobody leaves. Will the child sleep? No. But these are all some extraordinary qualities that we observe in Avatara Purushas. Similarly, this Shankara is asked for opinion, and Shankara also tells that yes, we'll have to relocate Krishna. And this Krishna is not yet another temple for Shankara. It is Shankara's Kuladevata Kshetram. कृपापात्रं यस्य त्रिपुररिपुरं भोजवसतिः सुता जन्मोः स्फूताचरणनखनिर्णेजनजलम्. Take this homework. Find this slokam in the works of Shankara. Okay. In this particular slokam, it starts with Kripa Patram Yasya Tripura Ripuram Bhoja Vasatihi. And the last line of this slokam deliberately tells Kuladevo Yadupatihi. Acharya acknowledges this Krishna as his Kuladevata. So there is no requirement for any rumors telling that no, that is the deity, this is the deity. Acharya acknowledges it and tells that this Krishna is my Kuladevata. Okay. So what happens? They lift this Krishna. They are doing relocation, no? They are lifting this Krishna and relocating it very close to their house. When you come to Kalati, when you enter the mutt, you just turn right, you will see the Kuladevata Kshetram of Shankara. You see Bala Gopala standing there. And Bala Shankara living here. Bala Gopala and Bala Krishna playing in a village. Imagine how Kalati would have flourished. Huh? I always used to imagine, this is at my level of imagination, when Shankara relocated the Krishna, relocated the idol of Krishna, he would have chanted Achyutam Keshavam Ramanarayanam Sridharam Madhav. A very simple sloka. I'm just correlating it with the child who is only 8 years old relocating Krishna. So it makes perfect sense for me. Achyutam Keshavam Ramanarayanam. A stotram filled with Namavali. Filled with Namavali only. Imagine the same kid who wrote Dakshinamurti Stotram has also written Achyutam Keshavam Ramanarayana. At two ends, these are like two poles. That is North Pole, this is South Pole. In fact, according to the tradition, people used to tell Bhagavad-padacharya chanted the Vishnu Bhujanga Prayata Stotram here. Vishuddham, Chidam Vibhum, Nirmalam, Nirvikalpam, Niriham, Nirakaram, Omkaragamyam, Gunatitavam Vyaktamekam Turiyam, Parabrahmayam Veda, Tasmai Namaste. Vishuddham Shivam, Shantamadhyanta Sunyam, Jagadjivanam, Jyotirananda Rupam. It is all pure Advaitam only. Just like in Bhagavatam, how Devaki and Vasudeva does Stotram. Atmaswarupaha, Ekaha, all these words Devaki uses the moment Krishna was born. Similarly, Bhagavad-padacharya uses all these words Chidam Sam, that which is the sole thing that continues to exist. Vibhum, Nirmalam, Nirvikalpam, which cannot be tainted, which is beyond all the impurities. Nirmalam, Nirvikalpam, Niriham, Nirakaram, Omkaragamyam, Gunatitam, Avyaktamekam, Turiyam. Gunatitam, Avyaktam, Ekam, Turiyam. Where is Krishna here? I am still searching. Is this using Krishna to convey Siddhanta only? Gunatitam, who is beyond Sattvam, Rajas, and Tamas. Avyaktam, Avyaktam, which is yet to manifest itself. Avyaktam, the Ekaha, Ekam. That is the fourth in Anubhava, Turiyam, which is beyond all. Param. How can you name it? In some or the other way, you have to name it. Then he names it Brahma. Let us call it Brahma. Brahma, Yam Veda, Tasmai Namaste. Vishuddham Shivam, Shantamadhyanta Sunyam, Jagadjivanam, Jyotirananda Rupam. Jyotihi, by which light every other thing is visible to us. Jyotihi, Ananda Rupam. All these things. He chants in a nice way. Before the stotram is over, reconstruction of the temple, Kumbhabhishekam is also over. Kumbhabhishekam is over, Acharya goes for Mangala Snanam. He enters the river. Just now he has relocated Krishna, correct? He is still in that dhyana sthiti. He is engrossed in his self. He goes into the river, stands neck at a level where he is neck alone from, maybe till neck, he is submerged inside the river Purna. Just as the name implies, Acharya has also attained Purna Sthiti in Purna. He was standing in Purna Nishtalam. And few friends of Shankara, few people who were also involved in the rituals of this relocation of this temple and Punah Pratishtha of the temple have also entered the river. They were also engaging in Mangala Snanam, and suddenly there was chaos. And suddenly chaos was there. Everybody saw somebody entering into the water. Everybody started shouting. Everybody started coming out to the banks of the river. And from somewhere, Aryamba was found shouting, "Oh Shankara, oh Shankara, come out of the river." People have observed a crocodile. Nobody expected it to be there. And from somewhere, this crocodile has come. Shankara has not woken up from his dhyana sthiti, and this crocodile caught hold of the legs of Shankara. Just imagine how would have Aryamba felt. She immediately shouted, "Hey, Katyayini, save my child." Katyayini is a very close by temple here, close to the Mutt, hardly 1 kilometer from the Mutt. Repeatedly, it is known that Shiva Guru performed daily pujas there. So she shouted, "Hey, Katyayini." She shouted, "Hey, Parameshwara, hey, Chandrachuda." This child was given as a prasadam. You blessed this prasadam. You now have to save this child. She started shouting. The crocodile started to pull Shankara deep inside the river. Shankara was also fighting for his life. And amidst all this chaos, he somehow managed to lift his head and stared at Aryamba and shouted, "Hey, Amba, at least give me permission at least now to take up sannyasa. There is no other way." She immediately told, "If this is how you wanted my child to survive, hey Vadakkannatha, Trishur Swami, Vadakkannatha, hey Vadakkannatha, if this is how you want my child to live, I am happy if he lives. Let him take up sannyas. I wholeheartedly permit Shankara, you can take up sannyasa, you can utter the Preshocharana mantra and take up Manasika sannyasa." The moment he got this permission, Acharya immediately uttered the Preshocharana mantram, and took sannyasam. Accidentally, the crocodile also left the feet. Shankara came back to the banks of the river where minimum hurt. He did not have any intense injury and all. It was bare minimum hurt. He came back, and Aryamba came all the way hugging Shankara. Only she would have understood the worry that she has undergone. She has got her son back. But Shankara's physical body was present here, but mentally he has already started walking towards Omkareshwara Kshetram. We'll begin the divine yatra tomorrow. Hara Namah Parvati Pataye Hara Hara Mahadev Satguru Maharaj Ki Jai.